everybody. It's 8 o'clock on Wednesday, April 12th. Excuse me, I almost said 14th. It's Spam, Sports, Politics, and More. I'm joined as always by my co-host, Nick. Nick, how are you?
I'm doing well, John. Episode 33, and all of you out there who are fans know the drill. If you want to talk to us live, give us a call, 718-717-8296, or write to us in the UCY lobby chat, or tweet John at S_sports, or you can tweet me at Nick_sports, and we'll be sure to answer your questions. Obviously, some big storylines this past week: United Airlines, Syria, North Korea, and the Knicks finally getting to their last game, and of course the Stanley Cup playoffs starting tonight. So let's start with this, John. The Knicks, their last game tonight. Thank goodness. It's about time. Hopefully they lose and can get a good draft pick. What are your thoughts?
Love them losing. I was actually in the car the other day, and I heard them announcing the lineup, and I thought it was a D-League. It was one of the D-League games. But then they said, and coached by Hornacek. And like, oh, shit, that's the actual Knicks. They are fucking awful. But like a dead horse, hopefully you can just put it out of its misery. Did you see?
So they lost 8 of their last 11 games. You predicted them to go 0-12 for to end the season. So one more game tonight. You weren't too far off. They did get 3 wins only.
Did you see that story with that schmuck Mark Cuban trying to get Tony Romo into a game? What a dick.
Yeah, the Tony Romo night in Dallas. I hate Tony Romo. We talked about him last week. We had a crazy guy calling on our show, Andrew Hershkowitz, saying that Tony Romo was great. I don't know what he was thinking, but yeah, they tried to get Tony Romo in an NBA game, which makes no sense at all, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think your buddy Andrew just has a crush on Tony Romo. That's all, and so does Mark Cuban. There's no reason for that. What you're doing is you're making a laughing stock of the guys who actually do that for a living. This isn't a pickup game. This isn't a laugh. This is real life, and obviously you don't give a shit about your team. That's why you're letting your buddies come play on it if they want to. So stupid. I hate.
I mean, I know why they were doing they had him there for the pregame, whatever, and they were selling his jersey, Tony Romo number 9 jerseys, Dallas Mavericks, for $85 each, and they sold out. I mean, you have to be a lunatic to buy that jersey.
Listen, anyone who buys that should immediately lose the right to vote. You don't got to go to jail, but listen, you don't get to vote anymore. Sorry, because you're obviously an idiot.
Well,
it's like buying a Mets Chad Pennington jersey. Why the hell would you?
Mets Chad Pennington jersey. Oh boy,
that's exactly the same. It's a
speaking
same
of
different town.
Speaking of the Mets, how about Tim Tebow, man, proving the doubters wrong? 2 home runs already in his first few games as a Columbia Firefly in single line. Did you see that? And what are your thoughts? The guy's he has real power. It's legit.
Absolutely. Listen, the power of Christ tells you. Not only is he a good hitter or whatever, but he's a big dude. Of course he'll be able to hit for power. It just, is he going to make enough contact to make that power come out? And I think he's shown it. Listen, his improvement from not playing at all since high school to now is, that's tremendous. Good for him.
Yeah, and so obviously we know from football he's very strong, so obviously it's translating over. Apparently, we can't even watch the games, but his defense has been pretty solid. And, Tebow is the type of guy that could end up hitting like 30 home runs, but he might bat like 230. And, that's not really that good, but, guys like Lucas do that every year, and they get to play in the majors.
Listen, the league is sprinkled with guys who do that. Guys make careers out of that. Michael Saunders on the other team. That's him. That's who he is. If you look at Jeremy Brennitz, he had a nice little career out of it. You're not a 300 batter. You're not going to play in the show for 20 years, but you'll be a nice little piece. And if you could hit your body weight, you're good to go.
Right. So in football, a lot of times, like if you have speed, you could get a job. And And then in basketball, if you could dunk really good, you might get a job. But in baseball, it's if you have a lot of power, then you got a good shot to get the job. Or if you throw a really fast fastball.
Yeah. There's other little things you got to be able to do as well, but that's basically it. It's one of those things. Like it happens in the NFL all the time. You see it. These guys who don't have a position, so they draft him. They try to make him return kicks, and he might be the fastest guy in the field. It's just not going to pan out. Sometimes it doesn't work. Lasting Millage. If you work that guy out, you'd be like, holy shit, this guy's the next. This is the next Mickey Mantle. But it didn't translate to the game. For whatever reason, the game didn't come to him. Baseball is very much a skill. Being the best athlete, it sure helps, but it won't get you all the way there. Then you look at guys like Larry Walker or Kruk, who were like big fat guys eating burgers and smoking cigarettes, and they were phenomenal, Hall of Famers.
Well, I don't think either of them are Hall of Famers, but I get your point.
Hall of Famers still do fat guys, though,
but what are they there for? Because they were powerful. So that goes back to the whole thing. If you could hit home runs in baseball, there's a good chance you'll get a shot. Another baseball note today, John. We know you're not really up to date in the minor leagues as much as I am, but the new #1 overall prospect in all of baseball, according to Keith Law, who is the insider with ESPN who does the rankings, is none other than New York Mets prospect and Las Vegas 51 shortstop, Med Rosario. Isn't that exciting? The #1 prospect in all of baseball is a Met.
Yeah, and you know what? He also plays a position where, obviously, Cabrera's, hitting the cover off the ball right now, but Cabrera's 34 years old, I think, so having somebody like that in the pipeline is love it.
Yeah, and this guy, he could be a leadoff hitter, he could bat second, he could bat third. He has amazing defense, and Keith Law says this guy could be a future MVP. So that'd be really, really exciting. And if you listen to our other show, the Mets Cast on EliteSportsNewYork.com, my prediction was he'll be up before the season's end. Another prediction we made this week is that Michael Conforto needs to start. It's not a prediction, but it's just something we said every day. Leading off tonight for the Mets as we talk, as they're playing the Phillies on April 12th, and he, of course, hits a home run over the left field fence. So I'm pretty sure, John, he'll be sent to the minors tomorrow while Lindor's returning.
It's a tough call for Terry right now because you got Cespedes, who's hitting the shit out of it. You got Lucas Duda, who's carrying his own.
Well, hold on a sec. Lucas Duda does what he always does. He hits these late home runs that don't mean anything. He has 31 home runs in 15 games over his career. So that means he's hitting 2 a game, and 1 game he hit 3. That's just ridiculous that all his home runs come in these quick spurts. So if Lucas Duda hits 1 home run, he's guaranteed to hit another. And he always hits them when the Mets are up by like 6 or 7 runs. It's crazy.
Well, he's batting over 300 right now. Bruce is killing it right now. So it's hard to get Conforto in the lineup, man.
Not really, because I think he's better than Curtis Granderson. But we'll see, because obviously it's only the second week of the season, and Duda always has a good April. But let's get Andrew, our field reporter, up here, because he has a baseball-themed 10 at 10 this evening. And we'll let him tell you all about that. And it's something you might enjoy. It's something you might not enjoy. We'll see if we even agree with his rankings. Usually they are insane. And John, I gotta say, I'm really disappointed with Andrew the last 2 weeks.
Well, that's because he doesn't have his production meetings, man. I started working in New Jersey, and that's basically it.
Yeah, no, he doesn't even care. He doesn't really prepare. He goes off the rails. It takes 30 minutes to do a 10-minute segment. It's crazy.
I got even more crazier news. He is not online right now.
Wow. So
shocking.
The 10 at 10, which is usually presented by Andrew Jason Pollock, it's field reporter, and he's no-showing it, which is really crazy. So what we'll have to do, and this segment will run a lot smoother here, is he sent me his 10 at 10 for this evening. And you never know what it's going to be, John. You personally never know. What do you think one of his topic is for tonight? See if you can guess. and it is baseball related.
Oh my God, he sent it to me, but I think because he's a Yankee fan, he doesn't want to come on the show and read it. That he didn't say that, but he sent me it, and it's the top 10 worst Yankees, but he's not here to read it.
Right. So I told him you have to do the top 10 reasons the Yankee fans are the worst, because we both know there's plenty of reasons, right?
Plenty.
And he's like, I'll do the top 10 worst Yankees. And his list here makes no sense. But we'll go through his list here, John. I really disagree with his number 1. But first, he's got number 10, Billy Martian, who I don't know who that is. Never heard of the guy. Billy Martian, off the field, was an alcoholic and was traded to the A's. Maybe he's thinking about Billy Martin, the manager. What do you think about Billy Martian?
I don't know the Billy Martian. I don't know him.
Well, if he's referring to who I think he is, which would be Billy Martin, this guy, he's got his number retired, so I don't know how terrible it could have been. He also won the World Series with the Yankees.
I think he's talking about when he was a player, though.
So as a player, so apparently Andrew was watching the Yankees back in the 1950s, so from 1950 to 57, before you got traded to Kansas City Athletics.
Andrew's online. I'm trying to add him now.
Let me pull up Billy Martin's 1970s stats.
I feel like we're doing the Francesca show right now. That's what he does. Back when I lived in Long Island, and I had all the Rangers living on my block, we were all friends. We used to drink beers and play hockey together. I taught them everything they know back then. Though you don't know what it's like. It was
in 7 years with the Yankees as a player, Billy Martin batted .262, and he had 30 home runs, which is not great, but for those times there was not as much power.
But he was a good manager.
Yeah, and I mean, not for nothing, but he won 4 World Series in that span. So how bad
could he be?
How bad could the guy have been?
Did you see that documentary on HBO, The Bronx is Burning? It was actually pretty good.
That was great with the Son of Sam and everything. Pretty nuts.
Loved it. All right, let's go to number 9.
Number 9 here, Ruben Rivera, because he stole Derek Jeter's items from his locker and then sold them.
Is that proven?
Do you remember this? Ruben Rivera? Not Ruben Tejada.
I'm Googling it right now.
He was on the late 90s, 2000s team. And, I mean, smart move by this guy. He
glove stealing flameout. I'm looking at a New York Post article that the glove stealing flameout, a Mexican revival of the Yankees at the next mantle.
This guy was like a DH outfielder. A pretty powerful guy. I'm sure if Andrew was on right now, it'd be really funny because he wouldn't even know anything about these guys, and we'd be like drilling him in like on it. It'd just be pretty funny. But they have the 10 of 10 guy who give his own segment, doesn't even show up for the show. What a disgrace, John.
What can you do? I know you having internet problems because he called me and left me a voice message about it. But
man, can you play the voice message on the air?
I deleted it. I'm sorry. I don't keep voice messages.
All right. So
now, Kevin Youkilis is the next one. I don't agree with that at all. I think Kevin Youkilis is a good ball player. The Yankees' fault for signing him when he was older, but he was a good ball player.
Right. He said Youkilis was paid $12 million, and he was beyond his prime. He only played 28 games and hit 2 home runs and batted 80 RBIs. Well, he was injured, so he got hurt. But he was amazing with the Red Sox.
Yeah. Let's see. So he played 11 years. He's a wow. So he's a career .287 batter. His OPS is a career .388. He's a good ball player. When he was in the A's organization coming up, they actually used to call him the Greek god of walks because the guy would walk all the time.
Yeah, he's like the all-time leader in hit by pitches as well, which is it's a great stat to also have. And he's only 38 years old right now.
I think he tore up his knee or something real bad.
Well, first let's talk about his postseason success. He did win the World Series in 2007 with the Red Sox. He was also on the team in 2004. He played in the ALDS. He wasn't on the World Series roster. So, two-time World Series champion. So, obviously, this guy is not as bad as Andrew made him out to seem. And he most recently played in 2014 in Japan. But after the Yankees messed him up, which the Yankees usually do, he was never the same due to injury. And now we'll move on to his next player on the list. Now listen to how typical Yankee fan this is, how he starts us off. A.J. Burnett, he only helped the Yankees win the World Series back in 2009. I mean, is that bad? Is that a bad thing, John? Wouldn't you love for somebody to help the Mets win the World Series?
Yeah, he has that written as a bad contract. I just see that as a contract.
Right. So he claims he has a 34-35 record and a 4.79 ERA, while the Yankees paid him $82.5 million. Well, the Yankees love to spend money, so that was really not much. But they won the World Series, so I don't know what he's complaining about.
Listen, there's no salary cap in baseball, so who gives a shit? Secondly, those numbers are a little inflated because he started out so poorly, but he pitched phenomenally in that 09. In 09,
yeah, they had a three-man rotation in that year. Him, Andy Pettit, and CeCe, and they won the World Series in the playoffs. I mean, I was rooting against them, even though.
You know what the difference between Met fans and Yankee fans is? That this guy would be a fucking Met god for pitching the way he did to win a World Series, and the Yankees are hating on him. Like the guy was like, you know what I mean? Like think about who's the number 3 pitcher on the '86 Mets team.
Ron Darling.
The guy's an announcer. Met fans love him.
Right. Yep. It's very true. And also you had Frank Viola, who the fans love. So
exactly.
The '80s Mets are just beloved.
Of course. So let's look at A.J. Burnett's numbers as a Yankee. All right. So they're not great, but you know what he did do? He pitched a ton of innings. 190 innings, 186 innings, 207 innings. So that 09 year that he helped them win the World Series, he made 33 starts, phenomenal. He had one complete game, 207 innings. He had 97 walks versus 197 strikeouts. That's a nice little year. His ERA's higher than it should be, but listen, the guy won you a freaking a World Series. What else do you want?
Yeah, I hate A.J. Burnett because he was in the Marlins and the Yankees, two teams I hate. So I'd say he's a bum, but he worked out for the Yankees. Number 6, Nick Johnson, on his second run with the Yankees. Not his first run, which doesn't make any sense because it's the 10 worst Yankees of all time, according to Andrew. They played him $5.5 million. He had a wrist injury, and this is in 2010. He only played 24 games. Well, if you remember Nick Johnson's first run and all, they said he was the perfect ball player. No one else had a better eye ever than him. Like he was just always walking and stuff, and it was like a dream player. There's all these articles about him, and then they traded him to the Expos. He was there for a while with the Nationals, and the guy just kept getting hurt.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of guys like that. Baseball isn't a sprint; it's a marathon. So if your body can't handle it, and listen, it's tough on your body. It's super tough, but what can you do? There's nothing you can really do about that. But Nick Johnson, listen, his second stint with the Yankees was subpar. 14 home runs, 15 home runs, 284 batting average that first year. He was injured. But that's what you get when you sign a guy in his 30s. Like this, the Yankees overpaid him, but that's their fault.
Right. So now the next guy on this list is his nickname is Marvelous Marv. Marvin Eugene Throneberry, a.k.a. Marv Throneberry. And this guy was a former Met as well, and he was pretty good with the Mets. So I don't know, where Andrew's statistic here makes no sense. Just for me to read it to you first. He had, I guess he says he played first base. Okay, so let's take a look at his fielding statistics with the Yankees just to make sure. He played 307 games at first base. He also played the outfield, but he made 21 errors at first base in 1958. So I guess his defense was not very good. And then in 1959 he made 27 errors.
Yeah, you know what? This guy's a bum.
This is actually wrong. He made 4 errors in 1959, 3 in 1958. So this guy, with his Yankees career, he had 4, 5, 6, 7. He had 7 errors at first base. Why is that so bad, Andrew? I don't understand. And then he says that he hit. I don't know why Andrew found this again. He goes back to the 50s here, but Andrew says that while he was with the Yankees, he batted .238, which is true. But I don't know. I don't know if this would, who really cares about this time period at this point? Why would I never heard of anybody ever saying, "Oh my gosh, this is one of the worst Yankees of all time"? Have you? And also, he did win the World Series in 1958 as the first baseman.
So if you go onto baseballreference.com, you scroll down, you can read all the stats.
All right.
Listen, the guy's not a Hall of Famer or anything. He had a marginal career, but he's pretty good. Errors committed, he was first in the league in 62.
And that wasn't with the Yankees, so I don't know why he cares.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then obviously with the Mets, he had a great fielding percentage where he committed 0 errors in 1963. So, that's great, of course. And then he had some more. He had errors in 62, which was his worst fielding season. And he batted. He was never a good hitter. But I don't know. I wish we could get Andrew on for him to explain why he's picking these random guys.
He's messaging me on Facebook. He's trying to get on. Something's going on with his Skype, I think.
Maybe you could call his cell phone or something.
Yeah. I tried to. It didn't connect though.
Oh well. Number 4, Carl Pavano. Yeah, this was a terrible signing from them. Rarely pitched. Only played 26 games in 3 seasons. Always injured. Involved in a car accident, and the Yankees had to pay $40 million. Well, that's the classic Yankees, paying guys lots of money without doing a health background check.
You know what? He was one of those guys who couldn't pitch in New York though, because in 2010 he actually had a nice little bounce back year. He had 17 wins and a 3.7 ERA.
For the Twins.
Yeah, for the Twins. So he pitched 200 innings in 2010 and 2011. So he bounced back a little bit. He had a terrible 2012, and then he was out of the league. But he was 36 at that point. But look at this. The Yankees signed him when he's 29, coming off an 18-win season. The guy just couldn't pitch in New York, I guess, because that first season with the Yankees, it's terrible. He's almost a 5 ERA. And then, now he's not playing. The Toronto, he goes 14 and 12, but that's a 5.10 ERA. That's garbage. Yeah, this guy's a bum. I agree with Andrew. The guy's a bum.
Yeah. Next guy on the list, Kagawa, one of my favorite Yankees of all time. At the time, he was the highest paid minor leaguer ever, $46 million contract. He went 2-4 in the pros, and he didn't make too many starts. He only made
Jesus Christ.
9 or 10, 11, 12, 15 starts. He had a 6.66 ERA. Now, my favorite thing about Kagawa is they kept calling him up for these night games or Sunday Night Baseball, and he'd always be wearing sunglasses. And it was just so funny. And this guy was never was worthy of coming to MLB. I'll tell you the only reason why they signed him. Now, his first season under Yankee contract when he went to the minor leagues was in 2007. Now, who did the Red Sox sign from Japan in 2007?
Daisuke Matsuzaka.
Yeah, so the Yankees got a bid on Daisuke, and they said, we need to get a Japanese guy so it doesn't look bad. And Cashman signed this guy, and they said K is just as good as Daisuke, but he's a lefty. So obviously Daisuke ended up flaming out, and K was just terrible. He never even really pitched in the majors. What are your thoughts on K? Do you remember him at all?
Daisuke, he was on the Mets, remember?
Daisuke, yeah. We're talking about Kagawa here.
Oh, I don't even remember him.
Oh, he was just really bad. He always wore sunglasses at night, which is great. Number 2, never heard of this guy. Bob Canier. Pitched terrible. He had 22 runs in 21 2/3 innings and 11 strikeouts. I'll take Andrew's word for it, but I'm guessing, John, this guy pitched in the 50s.
Yeah, I'll take his word for it, too. So I'm looking it up. Daisuke is actually still pitching.
Yeah, he pitched in the 70s. Okay. Interesting. Now, number one, I can't disagree anymore than it's possible. He has A-Rod number one for lying about PDs. I would say, A-Rod led them to multiple winning seasons, multiple playoff appearances. The guy won the MVP with them, and he was amazing in the 2009 World Series. He's the reason they won the World Series.
Absolutely. They won that World Series in 2009 on A-Rod's big pimply steroid back. We could be upset about that all we want, but in reality, that's what it is. It is what it is. Yankee fans don't like it because now you lose some glamour, but the Yankees don't win that World Series without steroid A-Rod.
Well,
Andrew,
how about all of their World Series since 1996? They're like the biggest juiced up team ever.
Absolutely.
Hello, everybody. I am late, but it is time.
Well, it's too
for
late.
Everyone's favorite segment.
All right, Andrew, we already finished, so I had to hang up on you. It's too late.
Andrew, we already did the 10 out of 10. What's the matter with you?
Yeah, but I would say that. I don't know where you got this list from. My list. How do you not have Roger Clemens on here? Andy Pettitte, Bernie Williams, Derek Jeter has got to be number one. I can't stand these guys.
Listen, you got to go. The list is a little weird because you got guys from the 50s we don't know about. But why not go after some of the big flops like what's his name? The other Japanese guy they got. What was that other Japanese guy?
Hideki Matsui?
No, the Japanese pitcher that they overpaid for.
Keiko?
Guys, I disconnected.
Hey, Andrew, we're done with the 10 out of 10.
What?
Yeah, dude, you missed the show, man. It's 8:30.
Yeah,
but my stupid computer was acting up.
Sorry, man. You should have did a mic test.
Yeah.
I wasn't home. I was in Long Island.
All right. Anyway.
Just because you're going to check out the Islanders, even though they're out of it, that's not an excuse here, Andrew. You can't expect us to hold the 10 of 10 off until 8:29.
Well, my parents and the waiter at the diner were taking too long, okay? And then my dad had to get gas.
Why don't you explain to us? We'll let you explain real quick. How did you come up with this list? What were the qualifications here? And who's Billy Martian?
Okay. Billy Martin. Okay, Billy Martin's number. All right. So basically, let me explain it to everybody, so that way our audience understands what tonight's topic is. Okay. I'm talking to Nick for weeks now about this. Let me be very clear about this. For weeks. Okay, and he suggested this idea to me, and I thought it was a wonderful idea.
Yeah, my idea was top 10 reasons why Yankee fans are the worst. And you said, I can't do it.
Hey, you were the one who suggested that idea first. Okay?
Yeah, you need to do it. You need to do that next week. The fans asked for it, so you got to give them what they want.
They want to know why we're terrible?
Yeah.
All right, fine.
Listen,
Next week
Andrew,
I'll do that.
We got to ask you, where is Roger Clemens on this list? Where is Derek Jeter? Where is Andy Pettitte? Why aren't they on this list?
Okay, first of all, I get offended when somebody says Derek Jeter is terrible. Second, I think it's fair, before I give number 10 out,
We already went through
this
the
is
list.
the obvious.
We're going to give out any numbers, Andrew. We did 10 to 1 already.
We read your list. You sent it to us. We just read it.
Oh, you just read it? Thank you.
Yeah. We read it at 8:10 when you're supposed to read it. The 10 out of 10.
Oh,
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe we could do a John, maybe we could do a cost-cutting, effective matter here where we could just wipe out the extra man on our staff and save some money. Production costs.
We're talking about layoffs? Listen, that's not making America great again. Listen, I'm going to give Andrew a break because it's Passover. And I know he's one of the chosen people. I don't know. We'll give him a break because it's the holiday season.
And we know Spectrum sucks. So.
And we know Spectrum's fucking terrible. But Andrew,
You know what? Since you guys did read my list, let's talk about my internet problems yesterday.
Well, first we got to tell us why Derek Jeter, Andy Pettitte, and Roger Clemens are on this list.
Well, Derek Jeter
Okay.
has no reason to be on the list because he's a goddamn Hall of Famer. Those other two juicehead cheating motherfuckers, they should be.
Derek Jeter's the worst shortstop of all time defensively.
Who gives a fuck?
I do.
When people say that about Piazza, I'm like, why don't you suck a fat dick? The guy played enough.
Well, if they say it about Piazza, it's not true because it's just
You know
not
what's
true.
so stupid? My source should have put Roger Clemens as one of the worst. I
Who's
do
your
agree.
source? You got sources?
Oh, unnamed sources.
There's a top 15 worst Yankee list I Googled just this morning.
So you didn't make this up. How original, John.
So,
Plagiarism.
Andrew, how's your job at CNN going? Because you act just like CNN.
I do not work for the fake news network.
The Clinton News Network over here.
I think Andrew's real name is actually, Jake Clapper.
All right, so Andrew, you got your buddy Bo Deagle eating pizza today, and he's showing everybody how to eat pizza. So, what did you think about that?
Oh, sorry, because I had to play that music because John was making fun of CNN and we were bashing them. But let's talk about Bo. I'm very happy that Bo was eating pizza with his actual hands. That to me made me convince myself to vote for this man.
Oh my, John, how gullible is Andrew over here? He's gonna vote for a guy because he eats pizza with his hands.
Listen, Andrew is a single issue voter, and that issue
What's
is
wrong
how the
with
fuck
you?
you eat pizza.
Yeah, pizza. And so, Andrew, tell us about what your Spectrum issues and why they're terrible.
Okay. So, first of all, I got home yesterday from coming back from book off, and I got home. I got Wi-Fi for about maybe an hour, almost 4 o'clock. My Wi-Fi goes out. I went up and down my basement steps where my router was, constantly resetting my router. And then we call Spectrum 2 hours later, and they say, oh, well, Spectrum is having an outage in New York City right now. And I'm like, this cannot be happening. I have to do the research for the list, and I have to put the YouTube videos up on my channel. And then I go, I got through the night. I mean, I got the Met game on the radio. I did watch SmackDown last night.
So,
And
Andrew,
then
who's your cable provider?
Actually, we have DirecTV for satellite.
So why didn't you watch the Met game? Why'd you listen to it?
Oh, because I was DVRing SmackDown.
Ah, well, the Mets fantastic last night. But SmackDown also a very good show. Charlotte going to SmackDown, the biggest acquisition of the whole Superstore shakeup.
I was very happy about that.
You
Literally,
should.
I was.
Should. All right.
Charlotte's going to a good brand.
Now we got Andrew here, so we might as well ask him these questions as well, John. Stanley Cup playoffs started tonight. For the first time in my lifetime, John, and obviously Andrew's lifetime, the Detroit Red Wings are not in the playoffs. What a ridiculous streak over 25 years in a row in the playoffs. I don't know if I was anything quite as remarkable as this ever again in the history of sports, John.
I think we're in the midst of it right now with New England, but other than that, I can't think of
Well, I don't know. The Patriots aren't going to be 25 in a row, and they did miss that one year only because Brady got hurt. But obviously, the Patriots, they'll be winning like
No, they made the
ridiculous
playoffs that year. They won 11 games that year that Brady got hurt.
and they didn't make the playoffs.
What?
Yeah,
Damn, that's
Yeah, the Dolphins did.
Dolphins won the division.
winning 11
so-
games back to like playoffs. That sucks.
I know, just like the Jets 2 years ago. So Stanley Cup playoffs, we will just give our finals predictions, and we will start with the hockey expert here, John. John, who you got in the finals?
Oh shit. The Dallas Stars.
Ooh, it might be tough because they didn't make the playoffs.
Fuck. I'm going LA Kings and Chicago Blackhawks.
Ooh, that's another tough one because they're in the same conference, and the Kings didn't make the playoffs either.
Yeah, you're right, Nick.
I'm shit out of luck here. I don't know.
So yeah, obviously the Blackhawks, right? That's a good one. So how about for the Eastern Conference?
Blackhawks.
I'll give you the teams here: Penguins, Capitals, Blue Jackets, Maple Leafs, Bruins, Senators, Rangers, and the Canadiens.
I'm an Islander fan. I hate the Maple Leafs.
Nobody cares, Andrew.
Yeah. I like turtles. I'm gonna go with Penguins because Sid the Kid and his pretty face.
So Penguins, Blackhawks, and who do you have winning the finals?
Blackhawks.
I'm going to say I'm going with the same exact finals, and I'm going to go with the Blackhawks as well. And now we go to Andrew. Andrew probably has the Maple Leafs versus the Calgary Flames or Edmonton Oilers or something. But let's hear it, Andrew.
What is wrong with you?
I am not picking the Maple Leafs.
What is wrong with you, Andrew? Just tell us already.
All right. So earlier this morning, I did a video on my YouTube channel, if you're curious about it, called How Will the Columbus Blue Jackets Win the Stanley Cup? What's their path bracket-wise? So I'm obviously going Columbus out of the East. And in my upset in the West, I'm picking the Minnesota Wild to lose to the Columbus Blue Jackets.
The Wild versus the Blue Jackets. Minnesota versus Columbus. Oof, that would be a terrible finals for ratings, don't you think, John?
Boring.
No, they have great players.
Nobody would care. The Wild are not making it. The Blues are not making it. This is a team that can realistically make it. The Sharks and the Blackhawks and the Ducks from the West.
What about the Oilers?
Maybe you could say the Oilers because of Cam Talbot and Connor McDavid, probably not. But those are the teams from the West. And in the East, you got the Canadians, the Capitals, and the Penguins, most likely. Maybe
okay, I'll take Capitals for the best shot.
Who is the best shot?
Capitals.
I don't know. I mean, they got a tough matchup. But we shall see. We shall see. You hope the Rangers could do it, but I doubt it. Of course, if the Rangers advance, we'll get even more and more playoff coverage. Because playoff hockey is it's really exciting.
Not the Maple Leafs.
And John, how much better is playoff hockey than the NBA playoffs?
Oh, playoff hockey is actually better than regular season hockey. For whatever reason, the pace is different. It's much better to watch. As someone who's not a big hockey guy, I watch the odd game here and there, but I'm not a big hockey fan. I find the regular season boring. But the playoffs is like, I don't know what it is. Maybe because it's, they play different lines. I'm not sure, but it's much, much, much better, caliber.
And they get rid of the shootout.
Well, the good thing about the NHL is the competitive balance is amazing because an 8th seed could win the cup and nobody would be surprised. If an 8th seed won 2 games in the first round of the NBA playoffs, everyone would be shocked.
That's exactly what it is. Hockey,
oh, my God!
It's very much like if you get a goalie who's like just super hot, save the world, shit happens.
Yeah, so we see it with Jonathan Quick and the Kings and other teams as well. So that's the playoff picture. Now let's discuss some more serious matters, and that would be. Andrew, what is going on over there, Andrew? Are you having a schizophrenia attack, multiple personalities?
No, my mom's trying to hijack this broadcast.
Andrew's mom is on the show. All right, Mrs. Pollock, how's it going?
Mrs. Pollock just left the studio right now.
Right. Andrew, you gotta lock the door in your studios.
You ever listen to Mike and Mike in the morning and how they ask their producer's mom, Liam's mom, to pick stuff?
British lady, yeah. Well, I like the logo.
Yeah. She picked really good in the Final Four a couple years ago. I remember that was like a big deal.
Yeah. So Cracker.
I have to go off topic, but I do want to look up the Mets score, and I just Googled it. Holy shit! 5-0 Mets in the 5th inning right now.
Wow, that's what happens when you lead Michael Conforto off because he's just amazing. And obviously, in the beginning of the game, he got on base with a single. Then Cespedes doubled him in, and then he hit the next time up in the 3rd inning, he hit a home run. And then the 5th inning, Conforto's on base, Darno's on base, Wheeler's on base, Cabrera singles, just got him in. Cespedes hits a sac fly. So obviously the offense is looking great. And that's what you expect from the best team in baseball. And you can see a lot more Mets talk, obviously.
Save it for the other show.
The Mets cast on EliteSportsNewYork.com. But listen, serious matters to address here. Number 1, United Airlines. John, how do they recover from this PR nightmare?
Oh no.
I got this solved for you. Nothing. They just shut up. They let it blow over because in reality, I know that their market cap they've lost $1 billion in their market cap because people are all knee-jerking reaction to this. But the brand name doesn't matter when it comes to something like that because the vast majority of travelers, they're going on to Expedia or Cheap Tickets or Kayak or one of those sites, and they're finding the cheapest ticket and they're flying that. They're not going to not fly United because some ex-con Chinaman doctor got his ass kicked because he wouldn't leave the plane. So, when I first saw the video, I was a little outraged like everyone else. Then I let the story come along, and it actually turns out not only did he not have patients in the morning, he lost his license to practice medicine for trading drugs for sex years prior. He just didn't want to give up his seat. Listen, you got to do what people tell you. Just because you're a doctor, quote unquote, doesn't mean that the rules don't apply to you.
I think it's ridiculous that they would kick anybody off the flight. I know it happens, but you own the airways. You can put your employees in other flights. So to me, it's just really stupid. And then, do you remember the U.S. Airways tweet a few years ago? It was pretty vulgar. And they. Oh. Do you know what I'm talking about or no?
No, I don't. I do not recall.
Oof.
I think it was on ABC News. I think they talked about it on ABC World News once.
Well, that's the thing. It was a really bad tweet, but the news cycle changes so often.
It was a very graphic tweet. I just sent it to you on our messenger so you could see to refresh your memories. So
Nick, send it to me. I want to see it too.
One of the female employees running the helpline Twitter account. Let's just say she posted she responded and for some reason added in a picture that was not clear for takeoff.
The FAA is going to have problems now.
In the lobby chat. Obviously, in this link, it's blurred out. It was not blurred out when she posted it.
This is going to sound weird, guys, but this makes me want to fly United more.
So, yeah, I guess they recovered it. I guess they recovered from that nightmare, so I would say United Airlines can as well. But, Andrew, what is your take on the doctor getting pulled off the plane?
You mean the Chinaman?
A doctor. He was a doctor.
Yeah, he's not a doctor anymore, man. He's just a Chinaman.
He's a doctor.
He lost his license to practice medicine. No doctor.
First of all, this is my reaction on how he did not want to take the $800 voucher that they were giving him.
Are you that stupid?
Exactly. He is
I thought
stupid.
he had to see patients the next morning.
He had no patience. He can't practice medicine.
So that was a lie?
Yeah, he's a liar.
All right. Well, I still don't think he should have been dragged like that, but...
No, but here's the thing. You know what? Should he have been dragged? No, but, when someone tells you to get your ass off the plane, you don't get to choose to not listen. That's it. You got to listen.
He's going to be a really rich man now by not listening.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. If I'm United Airlines, I might pay him a settlement just to go the fuck away. But in reality, what they need to do is the CEO needs to shut up. Everyone just needs to no comment until this becomes not a story anymore. That's all.
All right. So we will say time will tell if they recover. The bottom line is there's not that many airlines, so you're kind of limited in your options. Now, Andrew, no sound effects.
JetBlue!
JetBlue doesn't fly out of every airport. So, John, I want John to address this topic here. I want to know if he supports it or is against it. And Andrew, no sound effects for this one. But we need to know, John, what your views are on what happened with Syria.
Very glad that the chemical weapon attack was addressed. I like the way that Donald Trump did it because it makes it clear. It's a shot across the bow to let them know that we don't fuck around and that our red lines, if they get crossed, there's consequences without sort of starting off a bigger incident and getting us more involved in Syria. The news media made it a big deal, blah, blah, blah. They act like, it was the invasion of Iraq all over again. Meanwhile, we've been bombing the fuck out of Syria for fucking years now. But all of a sudden, we do it to a airfield instead of, quote-unquote, ISIS guys, and now it's the end of the world. listen, he called up the Russians, told them not to be there so that there's no collateral damage with the Russians, because if that would have been a nightmare. But he called them up, so that was solved. Look at the way President Trump handled that, though. I think it's good on a couple things. A, it tells Assad not to fuck around. There'll be consequences. I think it gives the Russians a reason to leave Assad, which I think is good. Also, he did it while he was meeting with the leader of China to let him know that we don't fuck around and that he needs to take care of North Korea, or maybe there's some cruise missiles up your ass. I really like it, and it played out perfectly. I don't know if you guys saw the news, but China turned away ships full of coal from North Korea. North Korea is that's their number one export. It's like the backbone of their economy is selling their coal to China. China turned it back, did not buy it. They want to buy American coal. So not only did Trump solve the North Korean China problem, but he also solved the American coal miners problem, all in one big kaboosh. So the Chinese are going to stop buying American.
Well, that was a very good trade deal. I'll give President Trump one credit too.
How about this, John? Our very own field reporter, who's on the line right now, said he cannot believe Donald Trump ordered the airstrike, and he's very unhappy with him, and he called him a hypocrite or something like that.
No, Andrew, I completely understand. A lot of people had that same knee-jerk reaction, but think about it like this: he is not a regular politician where he did the airstrike, now he needs to get more involved. No, he doesn't. Trump is his own self. He's not a Republican. He's not a Democrat. Not a liberal. He's not a conservative. He's a Trump. He's a nationalist, and he's first and foremost. And you know what I think it does? It tells the world community that bitch ass Obama isn't there anymore. And if you cross the red lines, and you do purposeful things that you're not allowed to, there'll be consequences and grave consequences.
Well, John, how about this? How useless is the UN? They just sit in their hands all day and don't even care.
Well, how about that? So when Obama put the red line in 2013. After the first time he used chemical weapons, the UN is technically, quote unquote, still investigating that. Meanwhile, 48 hours after the gas attack in Syria, Trump makes a quick decision. He makes it now as prudence because he doesn't just react and attack. He calls up Russia, get you guys out of there. Russian guys, get the fuck out. We bomb them up. There's really no casualties. We say there's no casualties. Syria says there's 2 or 3, whatever. Listen. What we did was we took out 20% of their air assets in one shot. So in reality, that shows you that they have no air defense. They exist basically we allow them to exist. That's a big show of force that we haven't had in 20, 25 years. That's something that Bush Sr. did when he went into Iraq and fucked them up. And the world took note of that and behaved itself for quite a while.
Do you remember the Bush Sr., like a total... I hate to use the word, but a blitzkrieg. They were in and out of there in a few hours, and they just destroyed everything that needed to be destroyed in Iraq.
It was a positive and a negative, because obviously it was a positive because we whooped their ass so quick, and the world community took note of that. It was a negative because the civilian population in America and the media especially thought that's just how you could win wars, that everything was going to be – they called it the Gulf War effect. They thought that we could just topple nations overnight. But you got to remember – we whooped their ass until they surrendered, but we didn't topple Saddam. Some people that would say it was a mistake, but
remember, we toppled Saddam eventually. We did.
Yeah, but that was years later.
The junior Bush to do it.
Of course, but what I'm saying is, I'm glad that Senior didn't do it, because you got to realize when you topple a leader, you gotta put someone in there. That's something that Hillary and Obama didn't do. So when they toppled Gaddafi, power vacuum. When they're trying to topple, Syria, the Assad dictatorship or the Assad presidency, whatever you want to call it. But you know what Assad is? He's a secular leader who is not doing anything crazy. It's 4 or 5 years before the Civil War, you could go to Syria on vacation. Now, if you get rid of Assad, who's going to become the infrastructure, the power? Who's going to rule Syria? It's going to be.
There might be another radical jihadist.
ISIS or Nusra or any of these other groups that are still fighting each other right now. In reality, it's just going to become a bigger quagmire. And if you look out and you try to look at the situation a little bit deeper, you'll see that the Saudi Arabias of the world are pushing for a quagmire there, because that will help them work on their Qatar to Turkey gas line that they want to put there. That's the whole reason that they supported the Arab Spring, because they wanted quagmires to pop off in these certain countries for anybody who wouldn't play ball with it. So Syria didn't play ball, and then now Lanusra and ISIS, they're all getting money and funding from one side or the other, and then you got Iran on the other side who are backing the other. So now you have two different sects of radical Islamists who we don't want either of them to win, and they're fighting each other. The only person in the middle is Assad, and Assad's a douchebag. I completely agree, but you know what? Toppling him is not going to help us out. What we should do is try to pressure Russia to push him out and replace him with someone else who's a secular Syrian.
Right.
Then,
so Rex Tillerson, I believe, met with Putin today, or close official, and apparently the reports coming out now are.
Look, I haven't watched World News Tonight, so I don't know what's going on.
Apparently, the reports coming out now are that now the U.S. and Russia relationship is at an all-time low. Well, John, I'm a little surprised because I thought Trump and Putin were best buds. What happened?
Yeah,
we can't talk to Putin. He's a tyrant.
All right, Andrew, you need to stop taking all this fake news. You're taking the fake news medicine. Putin is not a tyrant. That is fake news. George Soros bullshit. He's a democratically elected leader. Now, does he stand up to the standard of the United States? Absolutely not. But no one else in the world really does. Not
the homosexuals are getting killed in Russia.
No, they're not. They're getting killed in Chechnya, which has a population that's 90% Muslim. So if you want to talk about the gays getting killed in that country, it's a former Soviet Union country, but it's its own governance and it's 90% Muslim. They are not ethnically Russian. They're not Russian religion. They're not anything in Russia. And Putin can't control Chechnya. That's their own little country. And when he tries to control these little countries, people go crazy.
Once again, class is in session, and John just taught Andrew a lesson. Now, one last thing to discuss here, John.
Uh-oh.
I will read
this. You want to build a wall.
All right. I cut enough of Andrew, so Andrew's gone. Goodbye. Get lost. There becomes one last tweet here, John, from the president. He writes, North Korea is looking for trouble. If China decides to help, that would be great. Not, we'll solve the problem without them. USA. What are your thoughts?
Love it. And you know what? Did you see the thing today where China is calling for the America's aid? So China has opened up their trade route where they want to start buying American beef again, which will be huge for us. The Midwest has, tons and tons of beef farms, and China is literally half the world's population. So, that's a huge market for us. And honestly, that's going to be really good for us. If we could get China in order, what I mean by that is get them to start playing by the rules. And one of the rules is sanctions. They're not supposed to be trading with North Korea. That sanctions has been on the books since the early 90s, 94. And we can get them to stand by that. That changes the whole scenario. Puts a ton of pressure on Kim. And hopefully, eventually, maybe even Korean unification at some point. I don't know. But what needs to happen is Kim's regime needs to stop going after nukes and hopefully eventually, secede power.
Yeah. And I'm just, I don't know. I don't think North Korea has any of the actual artillery needed and nuclear weapons to even reach America. So I don't really know how much of a threat they are. They're so poor.
Well, here's what they can do. Intercontinental ballistic missiles could probably hit Hawaii. They're not there yet. Their missiles actually keep failing, but they're a lot better than they were a couple years ago. And also, what they could do, America has assets all over the South Pacific. So we have a huge base in Okinawa, Japan, another really big one in Guam. They could hit both of those. And they're not bases like what you think of bases with just military personnel. They're like huge, huge bases that has families and support networks and everything like that. So Okinawa has, whole Navy fleet, the Pacific Fleet, and it's home to the 3rd Marine Division. But it's not just the Marines and sailors. It's also all their families. So there's a huge community around that of all Americans. If they nuke that would start some shit, to say the least.
Definitely. But they'd be nuts to do that because if there is a war between them and pretty much any nation, they have no shot because they just don't have any money to keep up with the other countries, and their weapons probably aren't as advanced as the other powers.
Well, that's the thing. So even during the first Korean War and the Frozen Chosen, the reason that we didn't just kick their ass as soon as possible. Is the real case? What happened is the Chinese army got involved. So
So the fear has always been that China would help North Korea if there was a war between North Korea and South Korea, with the United States helping South Korea. So the whole thing is you get China on board with the U.S. and South Korea, and then you could really just get rid of any threat that there could be from North Korea.
That's what will happen is if you get China on board with us, basically what will happen is they'll solve their own problem, essentially, because what will happen is their economy will fall through. So they had a thing called the Great Famine, where they had like a whole generation of people that were like malnourished. And now their average height is actually lower because of it. So they're always, even today, like, with everything going normal, they're on the brink of falling as it is. If China started leaning on them hard, that'd be it. There'd be most likely a civil war there, and they'd overthrow Kim. And obviously, as soon as that starts happening, you'll see China would get involved immediately. We'll get involved immediately. South Korea will get involved immediately. That's probably the best case they could do for
right.
For
what do you think Japan would do if this was going down?
They, what their interests are for some sort of resolution. Kim to go. Kim to disarm would be fine for now, but long term Kim to go. Japan has no military whatsoever, because after World War II we restricted how much they could have. But they do have a booming economy, which they could transfer into a military at any point.
Right. So there you have it. Lots of stuff going on in the world. We discussed it all tonight on Sports, Politics, and More, episode 33. Make sure you follow us on Twitter throughout the week, and we'll be updating you on all the news happenings. John's at SM_sports, and I'm at Nick_Durst. And we want to thank you once again for listening to Sports, Politics, and More. We discussed a lot. We hope you enjoyed the show. We're sorry for Andrew's dumb sound bites and him being super late for the 10 at 10. And we will we'll try our best to make sure it does not happen again. And hopefully next week he will do his top 10 reasons why.
JJ Inc. from Against the Wall, and you're listening to UCY.TV.